Good afternoon, everyone. Like Patrick said, my name is Lauren Portee, and I am part of the wonderful class of 2013, the only class who actually had their graduation right here on this stage. But today I will be talking about my Intersession trip to Machu Picchu, Peru. And for those of you who don't know what Intersession is, it is a big part of the Sandy Spring experience here. It is a time when the entire upper school gets a week off before spring break, and we travel around the globe, international trips, trips around the country, and local trips. We'll have service trips, and these trips are basically to help us, learn about life and to expand our cultural awareness. So if you could start my slideshow, that'd be great. Move this over. So in March of my senior year, I was fortunate enough to take a trip to Machu Picchu, Peru with a group of 16 students and two lovely chaperones. And when we arrived to Peru, we really had no idea what we were in store for. Um, we arrived in Lima, Peru, which is the capital of the country and is home to 8 million Peruvians. And it's a very urban city comparatively to where the other parts of the country that we stayed in. We traveled around in their plazas, in La Plaza Mayor specifically, which is one of their big town squares in the middle of the city. And we made several trips to the beach where we sported our llama hand signs, which is one of our signature hand signs of the trip. And so in this city, it's sea level, so we really had to, get ready to be acclimated to all of this high, above sea level altitude that we were getting ready to go into. So after we were in Lima, we traveled to Cusco, Peru, which is more of like an Incan rural city comparatively to Lima. And in Cusco, we got to see a lot of the natives. It was very interesting to see how the streets were different comparatively to Lima and Cusco when they're really, really close to each other. As you can see, a different city life in Cusco. And when we arrived, we were able to travel around to some of the towns, and we got to meet some of the locals, and we got to go to a few markets where we could buy some of, Peruvian delicacies and a lot of their alpaca-made clothing and alpaca-made like purses and shoes and stuff like that. So when we got to this town, we could see them making the colored alpaca fur that they used for clothing, and we saw all these beautiful little alpacas, which we got to see a lot throughout our trip. So it was just interesting to see how the locals lived, comparative to how we lived ourselves, because it's very different. And the Incan people are very interesting people. They are very smart, they're very strong, and they're just well-rounded people. They created beautiful cities with huge tons of stones and carried them up big steep stairs and big steep trails on their backs. And I know personally, being a weakling that I am, I would not be able to do that at all. So it was just really cool to see how they created these huge towns with just these stones, as you can see behind me, and just made a complete city out of it. And we were able to walk around and see a lot of their buildings that they made with they were large buildings, and the Incans were kind of small people, so it was cool how they were able to create these huge buildings on their own. So in Cusco, it was just a completely different atmosphere from Lima. And in this picture behind me, this is actually guinea pig. And guinea pigs are a Peruvian delicacy. And if you like to try new things, I say go for it. But it was not my favorite. I had a guinea pig myself as a young child, so it was kind of, difficult to eat a guinea pig. But I did end up trying it. So from Cusco, we traveled to Ollantaytambo, which is where we started our 4-day hike to Machu Picchu. Now, this hike was rigorous. Oh my gosh. If you are a hiker, I recommend it. But if not, like me, stick to the flat roads. So the hike was 4 days. The first day we traveled 10 kilometers. The second day, 9 kilometers. The third day, a whopping 16 kilometers. And the last day, 6 kilometers to get to Machu Picchu. Now, this hike was no joke. It was very, intensive, and we had to climb a lot of different trails and stairs to get up there. The last picture that they showed where those stairs are called the Gringo Killers, and they were called the Gringo Killers for one reason. When the British tried to come and invade Peru, the Incans were smart enough and they destroyed all of the paths to get to Machu Picchu specifically. So they had these stairs, and most of the British people couldn't get up them, and they were falling, and so they were called the Gringo Killers. Now, another big thing about this trail, it is very, weather intensive as well, as you could say. As you could see in the last picture, it would rain 1 second, and we'd have to put on our ponchos and everything, and then the next second it would be hot, and we'd be in t-shirts and shorts. And then a few minutes later, we'd have to put on sweatshirts and earmuffs because it was so cold. And this trail that we traveled on for 4 days was also very hilly, and there had intensive hikes that we had to go on. On the third day, like I said, we traveled 16 kilometers, and we reached an altitude of 4,200 meters above sea level, so basically up in the clouds. We could see everything above us. And this is a picture of us. We reached Dead Woman's Pass, and it's called that because, well, you can't really see because the clouds are in the way, but behind us there would be a silhouette of a woman laying down, and it looked like she was kind of dead, so they named it after her. So on our last hiking day, we woke up 5 a.m. to travel to Machu Picchu, and it was still a rigorous hike, but we knew at the end we'd make it to this beautiful city. And when we got there, it really looked like the clouds just opened up, and there was Machu Picchu. And it was such a beautiful experience. And after that, I don't know why we decided, but we decided to climb up a mountain called Picchu, which is right next to Machu Picchu, and that is 2,720 meters high. I don't know why we decided to do that, but we could see a beautiful skyline of the entire city, and it was beautiful. And Machu Picchu is 13 kilometers squared wide, so it's huge. City. But I would just say that I was so thankful that I was able to have this experience to travel to one of the wonders of the world and to see this beautiful experience. And Intersession is definitely one of my favorite parts of Sandy Spring, and I was just glad I was able to do it. So like I said, if you're a huge hiker, go for it. But if not, stick to your day job. All right, thank you so much.